body cam rolls as he makes horrifying discovery.
I smell something. Man, see, it's strong right here. You smell it? Like, could we see it? How far off was it?
I mean, I saw it. I mean, without even, I was running by.
The smelly smell.
Oh, there it is.
That smells
Found it.
smelly.
Am I right?
Yeah. All right, we're 1097. It's confirmed. It appears to be a female. The top half is decomposed. The bottom half has pants on or shorts. They're pulled down around the legs.
When a beloved teenager from the Orlando area vanished from her home, the investigators tasked with finding her could have never imagined the twisted and shocking series of events that would eventually lead them to the most sickening of motives. On the
Like, dude, can we just can serial killers all collectively get together and normalize just killing people, man? Like, you don't have to torture them. You don't have to do weird shit. Like, just kill someone and move on with your day. You know, like, come on. Why do we got to be extra? I need all the serial killers to collectively get together and agree on this. Okay, right? Come on.
April morning of Friday the 13th, 2018. Just 3 weeks after her 16th birthday,
okay, fine, thank you.
Justice Marie Garrett awoke much later than usual and missed her school bus. Her mother, 37-year-old Danielle Pratt, who had her hands full with Justice's 5-year-old sister, asked her fiancé, 39-year-old Robert Bobby Kern, if he would drive Justice to school, and together they dropped the teen off at Mount Dora High, expecting her to get a ride home later on the bus. When Justice failed to return home that day, her mother assumed she was with one of her many friends and wasn't immediately concerned. However, by the next morning, when Danielle still hadn't heard from her daughter, she started to get a sickening feeling and hurriedly called the police to report Justice missing. Police initially questioned whether Justice had simply run away, if only for the weekend, as the teen had recently been forced to change schools as a result of her family moving to Sorrento just a few months prior.
Oh, man.
This sort of transition can be difficult for anyone, but especially for a straight-A high school student midway through their sophomore year. So police assumed this to be typical teen behavior, and the girl was likely spending the weekend with friends.
I hate that, bro. I always hate that dumb shit that cops do. Oh, they're just teenagers being teenagers. They'll be back in a few days. They're fucking dead. Like, if you know your offspring, daughter, son, what have you, if you know them very well, and then you would never, ever, ever in a million years expect them to run away, and they do, out of the blue for no reason, and then the cop hits you with, they're teenagers. Yeah, they're teenagers, like... They'll probably be back soon enough. They're probably partying with their friends, doing jelly beans and peanuts, tossing peanuts at the window. You know what kids do. Going to the overpasses and throwing peanuts off it, trying to hit cars with it. When I was a kid, I was a weirdo. You know what I mean?
Her friends, however, insisted Justice was responsible and exceedingly mature for her age, and her mother stated that she had no reason to run away. In fact, the more people the police spoke to about Justice, the clearer it became that something had to be seriously wrong, as everyone had only...
They also act like kids run away for no reason, like if someone is running away, something is wrong at home. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many things to it. Because cops don't do shit. They just don't want to exert the effort, They don't want to waste their time, which, let's be real, a lot of cops have plenty of time, all right? Like, I've seen you guys. I've seen how bored you are. You pull over one person for going 5 miles over the speed limit, 10 cops show up. Why? You're bored. You don't got anything to do.
Only good things to say about the 16-year-old. Other friends assured the investigators that she wasn't depressed, she didn't take illicit substances, and she wouldn't just run away, even though her mom moved her around frequently. This last part was certainly true. Over the past few years, the family had moved multiple times for unknown reasons, but in each school Justice attended, she left with a new group of devoted friends, most of whom she seemed to keep in touch with after leaving. The police definitely had their work cut out for them during the initial interviewing process, talking to literally dozens of teens about the missing girl. Soon, bizarre rumors had started circulating on social media. Among them, Justice had been spotted sleeping in cemeteries, or she was being hidden at the house of a friend after running away. These rumors all turned out to be falsehoods told with the goal of selfishly gaining.
That sounds like a teenager. She was in the cemetery. Like, what is that shit? What is that dumb shit? I once got drunk and ended up with rando somewhere far out from where I live for like a whole weekend. When I called my mom, she said, you got there, so figure yourself out, and hung up. Wow, I fucking hate parents. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like parents who like hate alcohol and your child drinking it, right? So much that you hate alcohol more than you love your child. I hate parents like that who hate substances more than they love their own child. If your child is out drinking at a party and they call you like, hey mom, I'm like plastered drunk. I'm sorry. Can you just come pick me up because I don't want to drunk drive? And then they hit you with, well, you got yourself into this mess. You're going to get yourself out of it. Like, what is that? Your child could fucking die. And you care way more about the fact that they're drinking rather than their safety. Like, I've dealt with shit like that too. And it pisses me the fuck off, man.
Attention. And those most loyal to Justice.
There's so many parents like that, bro.
Suspected of spreading the misinformation, leading to at least one girl being suspended from school at that time. Police eventually narrowed down the massive pool to a handful of Justice's closest school friends to talk to them about the missing teen's behavior at school on Friday, or if they had been with her at any point that weekend. What they learned from these friends completely derailed their prior assumptions and caused the investigation to be drastically rerouted. Not only had Justice not been with them that weekend or Friday afternoon, but none of them had seen Justice at school that day. A Snapchat posted at 6:48 a.m. to Justice's account shows that the teen had been dressed and ready for school just before leaving the house that day. But no one at Mount Dora High could recall seeing Justice.
Wow, I got wasted on weed. Wow, consider yourself disowned. Yeah, I had a similar experience like that. Like, it is so funny now how like weed is so, it's not completely normalized. It's still not completely normalized, but how it's such like a common thing now. And everyone realized that the whole time, like, there was zero reason for everyone freaking out about weed. You know what I mean? But like back then, it's like your parents would literally disown you and kick you out of the house for having weed. Like, it's so insane, bro.
On April 13th. How odd, thought the investigators, that Justice seemingly vanished between being dropped off at school at 7:25 a.m. and actually making it into the building for first period. Before investigators could dive deeper into this unusual development, a heartbreaking and tragic new piece of evidence would come to light. The following footage has never been seen before.
Yep. So I think we passed like Woodmasset Road when we came in. So if we kept walking west, run into the road, it's hard to know which way these trails are.
I know, and
out above.
What I did was I walked straight out east. That way I knew the sun was on my back with that marking there, so we're right in the area.
You're not going to be able to follow us all the way back here. We've taken a number of different trails. Right now we're headed in an easterly direction. We're trying to find the trail that he saw it on. If it's possible, we may have, if we could get Air One to come up, maybe assist. It's getting real dark back here now.
I don't know.
There should be a whole bunch of vultures near it.
Way out.
I'm seeing any footprints.
I think if it was anywhere, it's back up in this trail. I see my dog looks right here.
Lots of trees down. Smell anything yet? Let's see if they got our footprints.
Yeah, just
I'm growing my own weed. Is that what's I don't know what the law is on that. I think it's like you're allowed to have like one plant a household or something like that, depending on the state, obviously. But
boots right there, right?
Yep.
That'd probably be way cheaper than buying it because oh my god, bro, the prices, bro, the prices, kind of crazy.
Right. Fine.
I smell something. Man, see, it's strong right here.
You need a permit?
Smell it?
Stop you on the right a little farther. There, you know.
I'm asking for research purposes, chat. I'm not gonna do it myself.
This path and it's right there in the woods right there.
I would never.
Like, could we see it? How far off was it?
I mean, I saw it. I mean, without even, I was running by. I was like, oh.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. Found it. Am I right?
Yeah. All right, we're 1097. It's confirmed. It appears to be a female. The top half is decomposed. The bottom half has pants on or shorts. They're pulled down around the legs. It's about 10 feet off the trail, so.
Tragically, just 4 days after she was reported missing, Justice's body was discovered in a wooded area off Gasline Road in DeLand.
Decomposed after 4 days?
I
guess like animals.
30
and
minutes
stuff,
from Sorrento. A longtime member of the Daytona Hash House Harriers, a runners club based out of Daytona, Florida, had been out for a game of hares and hounds that morning when he stumbled across the grisly sight. When this particular runner took off into the woods to track the hare on the morning of April 18th, he had no earthly idea that what he would actually find that day was one of the most gruesome and heartbreaking crime scenes in DeLand's history.
Jesus Christ. You look very grunkly today, Pig. What the fuck did you just say to me? What is that? What? That better be a compliment. I look grunkly?
Justice's body was heavily decomposed, and there was ample evidence of animal activity, but it was clear from the state of her remains that she had been the victim of a brutal crime. The body was found about 10 feet off the jogging path.
Wait, what did that say? Tissue and flesh had been removed from the skull, ribcage, and sternum of the victim. Ew.
Of a brutal crime. The body was found about 10 feet off the jogging path, with the top half being mostly skeletal, and the bottom half and remaining clothing, such as pants left pulled down around the ankles as the officer mentioned, were later found to have been covered in bleach. Their worst fears now confirmed, the police began to redouble their efforts and questioned everyone again in a newfound state of urgency, determined to find the person who had brutally killed Justice. They started with the jogger who had found the body. He told police he'd seen a man in a hoodie near the path on the day he found the remains, but when the man heard the approaching police sirens, he took off into the woods. Curious to see if this man was seen near the school, detectives requested footage of the drop-off zone at Mount Dora High on the morning of the 13th, and upon receiving it, were quite surprised by what they saw, or more accurately, what they didn't see. Not only was no one suspicious seen at the school that morning, but neither was the dark blue Ford Explorer containing Danielle, Robert, and Justice that should have been in the student drop-off zone at 7:25 a.m. Danielle and Robert both told investigators this was the time and vehicle in which
Hold up.
they had dropped Justice off. So why was there no record of it
Hold up. No.
anywhere on school grounds?
No.
Faced with the death of her daughter and increased pressure from police,
No.
it was at this point on April 29th that Danielle finally cracked and admitted the truth to investigators.
No.
Danielle and her fiancé Robert hadn't taken Justice to school the morning she disappeared.
No.
Instead, Robert had dropped her off somewhere in Sorrento so she could meet a friend. Detectives demanded to know the name and location of the friend, and Robert had to admit that he didn't exactly know.
You lying sack of shit.
Stating that he only knew that it might have been a boy and that Justice had been asked to be dropped off and picked up later. Since Robert had a handyman job waiting for him up in Volusia County that day, he didn't press her for details, but instead complied with the teen's request. Wanting to be liked by your prospective spouse's children is a somewhat reasonable excuse for
I think fiance killed her. Mom didn't want to lose fiance, so she didn't say anything.
Robert to behave this way. But why would Danielle lie about being in the car that morning? Well, as it turns out, she didn't want to get Robert in trouble for driving with a suspended license when it was she who had asked him to drive Justice to school that day. Now understanding why the two had initially lied, investigators were invigorated by their new lead. If they could track down the friend Justice had been with, it was likely that he or she was the last person to have seen her alive. But there was one big problem. Neither Robert nor Danielle knew anything about this person.
That's weird.
Desperate to discover who the friend was,
That's weird, man.
police had no choice but to turn back to Justice's friends. It was here that they finally caught a break when one friend mentioned a possible lead, a boy Justice may have been flirting with on Instagram. While it was true that Justice didn't have a boyfriend, according to her friends, she'd been commenting on and liking a boy's posts, and that they may have been on the verge of dating. The only problem was the friend also didn't know the boy's handle or his full name, so the police had to dig through Justice's social...
Oh, as parents, bro, as parents, not... Okay, the fiance isn't a parent. As a mom, how would you allow your daughter to meet up with a random dude on the internet?
Social media account to find any contact she may have made through the platform. And what they found was disturbing. Direct messages that had been sent to the teen's Instagram during the weeks leading up to her death read as follows. You're a cutie. How old are you? You got a BF. Talk to me, beautiful. You don't like guys. I love your cover photo. God, you're sexy as f.
Oh!
All the messages came from the same profile. One supposedly belonging to an 18-year-old muscle-bound young man living in the area, though no one matching the photos had ever attended any of Justice's schools or was recognized by anyone who knew her. Even though Justice herself never responded to any of these messages, detectives felt confident that the owner of this Instagram account was the key to solving this case, and, as it turns out, they were right.
Muscle bound? Chat, he's wearing a sleeveless shirt. That's why he's muscle bound. Chat, if I was wearing a sleeveless shirt, he'd probably say the same thing. You know, hell, he might even say bodybuilder, right? If I was sleeveless, right? But, you know, it's just because he's wearing no sleeves. That's how it works.
However, not in the way anyone could have possibly imagined. Upon obtaining the information to trace the account back to
Don't be delusional. I'm not being delusional. I'm realistic, all right?
the phone it was linked to, investigators finally learned the shocking truth. The phone didn't belong to an 18-year-old besotted schoolboy at all.
Yep, 40-year-old creepy man.
It belonged to a middle-aged man by the name of Robert Bobby Kern.
Yep.
That's right, it was the loving stepfather.
Oh, wait! Oh, shit! It was! Oh, it was! I was right! I was right! Oh my god, dude. I knew it. It was too suspicious. It was way too suspicious that he didn't know the dude. All right, yep.
Police wasted no time tracking him down and confronting him with this new development. It was here the loving, almost stepfather facade broke down entirely, and Robert was no longer willing to cooperate with investigators. This, coupled with the earlier lies about driving Justice to school, were big red flags, some which prompted detectives to place Robert Kern under arrest and re-examine everything they knew about him. First, investigators wanted to know if Justice knew it had been Robert who had been sending her the messages, or if he had ever behaved inappropriately towards her. It's unknown, but it's not hard to imagine she didn't know yet, since despite Danielle
I don't know, I feel like she would have an idea.
referring to Robert as her fiancé, they'd only been dating since the late fall of the previous year, and Robert only stayed at the house periodically. It's entirely possible Robert did make her uneasy. However, despite him telling investigators how they were already practically family, one of her closest friends, Rochelle, was quick to point out that he was definitely not her stepfather.
Yeah, what, barely even a year together and you're gonna start acting like you're her stepfather? No.
Yeah, it was Friday night, and her dad came to her mom's boyfriend came to my house and was like, oh, have you guys seen Justice and stuff like that? I said,
that was on Friday?
Yeah, Friday night. He came to my house.
Is that the stepdad or real dad?
It's a stepdad. It's like her mom's boyfriend. He's not really like a stepdad. She just like got with him, I guess, or something like recently.
This had been the first time Rochelle had ever seen Robert since Justice had always stayed over at Rochelle's house. She stayed over so frequently, in fact, that investigators had to question if Justice was uncomfortable in her own home.
I'd say so.
She'll always be at my house, and then like when she moved, I'll talk to her like a couple times a week, probably, like only text her. And then I started like calling her more, like after her birthday. And then we started like calling each other, and then she started like staying over my house, like on the weekends.
How many times do you think she's been to your house?
A lot, all the time. Like too much for me to count, because it used to be like literally like a whole month. She stood at my house. My mom
Does she not like being home or something?
I don't know. That's what my mom was saying. Like the other day, me and my mom and my sister were talking, and my mom was like, well, like she used to stay over here, and you guys never go sleep over her house. So it kind of seems like she don't like being at her house and stuff like that. I don't know. It's because like I don't know why.
Yeah,
she never really told me nothing.
I definitely feel like the mom knew. He probably just groomed the mom. You know, made her feel like he was a great guy. Basically brainwashed her in order to get to her. I mean, I feel like that's what a lot of serial killers and psychopaths do.
That I don't know when her dad.
The mom definitely had an idea.
Her dad, when her mom's boyfriend came to my door, Friday like that night when he asked me, he kind of scared me. Like he looked a little bit creepy, and my mom was like, "Oh, like what if she don't like being at home because of him? Like what if he, like we never know, he could be doing anything. Like he looks creepy, he looks weird." But
other than looking creepy, why did he give you a bad vibe? Did he say something? Did he act a certain way?
He didn't act a certain way. He just looked like weird. Like he just looked
weird. Like what? Like what would he do? What do you think?
His aura.
He just looks.
Would you want to leave the house with that guy?
No, I wouldn't even want him in my house, to be fully honest with you.
Rochelle may have not been able to articulate exactly what it was about Robert that made her suspicious, but investigators were definitely starting to get a clearer idea. Convinced they were on the right track, they dug deeper into his background, scouring his past and the rest of his phone records, and what they found was sickening. The following may be too disturbing for some viewers.
Uh-oh.
It turns out that Robert did have a criminal record, including 2 counts of burglary from the early 2000s. But it was his internet search history that proved the most damning.
Oh, no.
Police found searches such as knockout drugs, GHB, and chloroform, along with several searches for father-daughter.
Oh, God. Oh.
Between father and daughter, and brunette in the woods.
Ew, what the fuck?
In the weeks leading up to Justice's disappearance.
Oh!
In addition, the location of Robert's phone matched Justice's for the entire morning, showing that instead of driving the team to school, Robert had driven them both straight to the woods and to land, where the phone stayed stationary for over an hour in the location where Justice's remains were later found. It was during this stationary period, a time Robert originally claimed he'd been working a handyman job in Volusia County, that investigators believe he dragged the teen from the car into the woods, then proceeded to brutally assault and murder her. The medical examiner later testified that the cause of death was most likely strangulation, though this couldn't be definitively proven since a key neck bone was missing from the body at the time of discovery. In addition to her pants being pulled down around her ankles and drenched in bleach, Justice's sweatshirt and bra were found pushed up around her neck, and her nose had been violently broken shortly before her death. The state of Justice's clothing and Robert's search history leave little question as to motive, though we will probably never know for certain, as Robert never
Death penalty immediately? No, he needs to suffer. He needs to die. He needs to gradually die in a horrible way.
Testified. The defense didn't call a
cover him in oil, burn him.
Single witness to the stand, but that may have been due to the overwhelming amount of evidence stacked against him. In addition to the plethora of lies Robert had told investigators and the information gathered from his phone, bits of plant matter from the exact area Justice's remains were found were
like, how does the mom feel in this situation?
Located in his car after he stated he had never been to the area.
How does the mom feel?
Danielle later testified at trial, saying Robert had convinced her not to call the police when Justice first appeared to have gone missing. In one final twist, investigators discovered that on April 16th, Robert's phone pinged at the location of the murder for a short period of time. It's believed that this was when he dumped bleach over Justice's remains in an effort to further cover his tracks. As stated by the prosecutors in the case against Robert, Justice Marie Garrett was entirely a victim of circumstances. Those who loved her will remember her for the beautiful and kind soul she was, and the lives she brightened along the way. It took the jury only 30 minutes to find Robert Kern Jr. guilty, and he was subsequently sentenced to life in prison with an additional 5 years for tampering with evidence.
That was awful. That was absolutely terrible. I hated that.
Now it's time to walk away. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Did you laugh or cry or maybe subscribed? I'll thank you either way. You know I will miss you. I hope you return. Tell your friend or your mother to get me more views, please.